Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 19 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choit, and it's May now, and you know what that means. It means April showers bring May flowers. Do they have that phrase everywhere in the world? And if so, does it rhyme? I've always wondered that. I haven't always wondered that. I'm gonna move on from this. I'm just gonna do the plugs up front for the time being. Get that shit out of the way. So let's do that. Yeah, I have a website, peoplewelovepodcast.com. Everything you need is pretty much right on there. Everything you need to find about the show. And please tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on. I appreciate that, as well as a positive review on iTunes if you use iTunes. And there's also a private Facebook group where you can meet and interact with others and talk about the show. The People We Love podcast group. I think that's what it's called. And one more thing. I think I'm going to just start putting out episodes on Sunday because it's just easier for me to do everything on Sunday. Everything takes way longer than I think it's going to with these descriptions and intros and social media stuff and finding pictures. Everything always takes way longer than I think it's going to. So I'm just going to put episodes out on Sundays, either in the afternoons or in the evenings. We'll see. I mean, what day of the week I put these episodes out on is not going to determine whether this show is ultimately a big success or not. Whether I put episodes out on Tuesday or Saturday or fucking Thursday night at 3 a.m. It's not like it's live anyway. But let's just get into today's show. Today's guest is veteran actor, comedian, and viral Uber driver Ina Romeo. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, she's a tough woman who's dealt with a lot of tragedy in her life. But along with her Catholic faith and her friends, her mom and dad also, of course, had a huge influence on Ina. Ina may describe herself as a prissy feminine girl, but she is someone who is not to be messed with. This is quite the raw interview, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's just get started. Well, it's good to see you today, Ina Romeo. Thanks for stopping by the studio. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Adam Choit.
How's your day going? How are things?
Everything's going well. Yeah, my belly's full. That was good dinner.
Oh yeah, you're still good to go. You're not gonna fall asleep on me after a big dinner.
No, I won't. Not at all.
That's good. So why don't we just get right into it? Why don't you tell me about yourself and where you grew up and how you got into comedy and your parents and the whole thing? I'll just give you the floor and jump in whenever.
Okay, well, let's see. Well, I like to think of myself still as the baby of the family. Right? I'm like overgrown and I'm still the baby of the family.
Do you have?
I'm the youngest out of 7.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up like pretty spoiled, I feel. And I feel like for an overgrown woman who doesn't have kids, everywhere I go, I feel like I'm the baby. I don't care if everybody's younger than me. I'm the baby. And if they don't treat me like I want to be treated, like the spoiled baby, well, I pout.
Oh, wow. Well, you're at least you're honest.
I still pout. Let me tell you something. I cannot date a guy that is the baby of the family. I mean, like, sibling position, that hierarchy is very important to me. I got to date a guy that's the oldest or the middle, but never the baby.
Do you feel like you're able to spot, guys or anyone really, are you able to tell who's an older child, who's a middle child, who's a younger child, just shortly after meeting them?
Yes,
really?
Because you're a middle child.
Me?
Yeah.
Wrong.
What are you?
I'm the youngest of 2.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe it's because you're the guy. But I usually defer to people based on that. And so I think that because you're a guy, that I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah.
That you were the baby. You know what I mean? But like...
Oh, I'm the baby.
Okay, baby.
I'm definitely the baby.
baby.
That's right.
So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about life. I'm like always feeling like I'm deferring to someone else because I assume everybody is the older or the middle child.
Yeah, so six older siblings, and you said you were spoiled more or less, so you didn't felt neglected or forgotten, it sounds like.
They gave me no attention.
Oh, you did get no attention, but how were you spoiled but with no attention?
I was spoiled because I was left alone.
Interesting.
I mean, like, my sister who was 2 years older than me, she was the one that got all the attention.
Yeah.
And so I think because we were paired up so much, the dirt that she did, I didn't want to do the dirt she did. But I'll tell you this, I did do some of the dirt. Like my sister, she's no longer here, but I tried heroin at the age of 13.
Wow.
I snorted it.
Wow.
Best thing I ever did.
Oh, really?
Because I hated it.
You learned quickly.
I learned quickly, and I feel like when I was in the nod that it forces you into, I swear to God, I was so high. I was just like on the couch, and it felt like I could feel my growth plates.
You couldn't move? Is that?
Nope.
I have not tried that, and I don't plan to, but the closest thing for me, I guess, would be when I got my wisdom teeth out, and I was kind of like nervous, and the guy injected some of that, whatever the hell it is, some kind of relaxer, you know, some real prescription fucking Michael Jackson, whatever the hell kind of stuff, you know, in that vein. In that vein in more ways than one, but it felt intense. Like you could not move. I never felt anything like that ever. And I could tell why people like it, but it's kind of scary. You're like super relaxed. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Heroin is super strong.
Yeah.
Heroin is super strong.
Well, maybe I'll have to
and
work
I
up to
snorted
that.
it. And I just, it makes you throw up. And once you throw up, then you get even more high. And I didn't like it. My sister, who was 2 years older at the time, she was 15, she got hooked. And I think it's because she was over the puberty. Her body wasn't rejecting it.
Right.
So she subsumed it, and she was murdered.
Wow. I'm sorry.
It's been about 13 years ago. She was shot in the back. She was in the car with, we think, 2 people, and they were fighting her and intimidating her, but she fought back. And when she got out of the car, because she was a ride or die chick, you know, when she got out of the car and ran, they shot her in the back.
Wow.
And she was the Jane Doe on television because they left her on the grass of an elementary school.
Jesus Christ.
Horrific.
This is all in Detroit?
Yep, this was in Detroit. And the gal pal that she had at the time, I guess about a month before my sister was murdered, her gal pal had been left for dead in a house, and they set the house on fire.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
This is what year?
This was in 2006.
This is not that long ago.
Yeah. And then my mother died a month and a half later. My mother had Alzheimer's. And I had gone in to see my mother the 7th of August. And my mother died the minute I got on the plane, the 15th of August. So it was like a double whammy. Yeah. And I was like, man, woo! And I just...
yeah, I'm sorry. That's just, I don't even know what to say to that. It's just rough. And
I know. But you know what's amazing?
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm hoping that there's some sort of positive that comes out of this in some regard.
Well, here's what I know. I'm a good old American girl. I'm the youngest out of 7, raised Catholic. I mean, I'm Gloria, Ina, Teresa, Cecilia. And we had a great childhood. All 7 of us, my parents raised us, went to Catholic school. I had diamonds in my ear at the age of 10. Beautiful neighborhood. I mean, just beautiful in Detroit. But yet, not only was my sister murdered, my sister's son was murdered about 5 years ago. My sister's daughter, her baby's father was murdered.
Jeez.
I have a cousin in Detroit. Her son was murdered. I can't tell you how many murdered people I know.
I don't even know what to say, but I'm not going to visit Detroit anytime soon.
But that's kind of like urban society now.
Yeah.
And it's so, I mean, like I'm talking about it in a way that sounds so cavalier. I'm not cavalier about it at all.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? But me who grew up this, American kid, spoiled, whatever, I have that many people in my core nucleus of my family who've been murdered.
Yeah, that's terrible. Is it just completely bad luck and just being in a rough city, or did they make certain choices in their lives that sort of led them into some of these situations?
The choices.
Completely the choices, or just a combination?
I think it's the choices, because where I was saved by the heroin because I was so young, my sister was not. And so I think that addiction led her to make poor choices. Right. And my nephew who was murdered, he had made some poor choices. So most of the people who I know who've been murdered have been murdered through affiliation.
Right.
And like, this guy recently in Los Angeles was murdered, Nipsey Hussle.
Right, yeah.
And I think about Nipsey and what a beautiful legacy he's left. But I also remember that he was a gang member. And I know that the woman that he was with, beautiful girl who's an actor, all I think about is what would have happened had she been with him. She may have been killed too.
Yeah.
So where I'm alive is because the dudes that I liked, the bad boys that I liked, I also knew that through sheer serendipity, that if I were out with them and somebody was out to get them, that I probably would have been the one that got. So I learned to unlike bad boys. and I married a guy from Detroit who was not a bad boy.
How do you unlike bad boys?
You just be like...
Asking for a friend.
I want to live.
Yeah, just wanting to live.
Just wanting to live.
That survival instinct
It's
kicks
survival.
in,
Yep,
right?
it's survival. Because Detroit is a very duplicitous town in that there's all the good and there's all the bad. And because I'm an urban girl who went to a Catholic school across the street from a public school, you're being taught the morality of Catholicism. But then when you leave out that Catholic door, you're hit with what the city is.
Right.
And you got guys driving by in cars that are like old men trying to hit you up, right? And then you got the bad public school kids that want to fight you. So, I got to the point where I was so tired of being picked on that they were so scared of me. So instead of me being scared of the public school kids, I started kicking ass and they would be like, hey, cross the street. That Catholic school girl's going to get us.
So you got into fights and you won these.
Are you kidding? From Detroit? Please, you fight your way through if you walk to and from school.
What what happens in a fight? You're fist fighting. You're fighting other women. You're fighting dudes. You're fighting anyone who comes at you.
Well, you're pretty much just fighting somebody that wants to pick on you. Because when it was 7 of us walking to school, we were a team. Nobody would bother you.
Right.
But I had to stay after school for lessons, for cheer practice or music lessons or whatever. So sometimes when you're walking home by yourself, kids want to pick on you. And, they're like, why do you wear the same thing every day? Stupid. It's called a uniform. Right? So they're picking on me.
Public school right there for you.
Right. They're picking on you because you're quote unquote different. Right? So you either get beaten up every day or you learn to fight. And I had to learn to fight. Right? So I learned how to be an urban chick who had to stand up for myself and decide that nobody's going to cut me. Nobody's going to do anything because I'm going to make sure that I survive this. And that's what I did. And I think that with that happening, when I was attracted to the bad boys that I was dating, I already would think about the fights that I had. And I would think about the things that the boys were doing. And I'm like, this guy's really hot, but if I go out with him and I'm running into, I made better choices.
Do you think some of the females out there who are into the bad boys, that they don't have the experience with it? So when they meet the bad boy, they don't even know what they're getting into so much. Whereas you kind of were able to educate yourself in one form or another, have certain experiences before maybe you were, starting to date. So you were able to, steer clear of that for the most part. Do you think there's something to that?
Well, and I think that it was my being Catholic, because in Catholicism, you're taught to question everything, but to believe. So that allows you to believe in yourself when you believe in something. Believing in something allows one to believe in oneself. So I gained a confidence of belief, which meant that I could say no to that and still survive. So I think a lot of women, when they choose the bad boy, they really kind of know that they can say no, but they succumb to the weakness of the desire, of the passion, of wanting to live on the wild side, kind of walk on the wild side. Whereas if they'd said no, they would have finished nursing training and met a guy and had a stable life, which is what most of them will wind up doing anyway. But the lure of the bad boy is you to be completely uninhibited and to step outside of the confines of what you were raised with. It's like being unshackled, kind of. Yeah. Right? And then it's so passionate and it's so dramatic, but it's deadly for some. So, I'm not trying to besmirch Nipsey's legacy. I mean, he, his legacy is intact. But for me, when I came to California from Detroit, I steered clear of guys who would be, bad boys.
Oh,
and that
I'm sure
kind
you
of
could
thing.
spot them right away.
I can spot them all day, every day.
What did your parents think of you growing up in Detroit, and did they know that you were having fights and having these issues? And I'm guessing some of your siblings had similar issues. What did they make of it? Were they like involved, or were they too busy with their own lives to really? There's only so much they could do. At some point, you're out in the world on your own. You got to take care of yourself. But what did they make of all this stuff going on in the city?
Well, I think my parents were really good. I think that my parents knew that the days that I was going to be on my own, that I'd either sink or swim. And so when I came home victorious from having fought off whatever, it was just like, okay, go do your homework. Because my parents know that they're raising children, but children who have to be in the world. And if you start getting a beat down and taking a beat down all day, every day from everybody, and you're scared to face the world, well, that's going to carry through in your adult life. The bully is a good thing in school because it shows you who your mettle is. It shows you how to either, sink or swim, because you're always going to deal with bullies. I mean,
I'm pro bullying too.
Yeah, because you gotta,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I mean, bullies are everywhere.
It's reality.
It's just reality.
I mean, that's a big problem, I think, in society today where, obviously it's good to be anti-bullying. I'm not for bullying, but I think kids are protected a lot and in many ways in schools that when they get into the real world, they're
unprepared.
Yeah, because they've been coddled in one form or another.
Yeah, and coddling doesn't work.
No.
Coddling doesn't work. You know what I mean? That just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so I don't abhor when I hear someone, bullying someone else. That person has to learn to stand up for themselves.
Right.
I mean, I drive Uber, right? You can get bullied in a car. You should see all the Uber drivers trying to hurry up and get up the ramp to get to LAX. You can either move to the side for everybody, or you can bogart your way in. Those are bullies.
Yeah.
And very often they're men in the car who just decide, hey, I'm a guy, you move over. And then if you don't, you get called every kind of name. But it's like, what you gonna do? You gonna hit me with your car, I'm gonna hit you with mine.
Yeah. People get tough behind their cars when
they
protected.
Really, really do. And that's a thing that I had to learn to do, driving Uber, because I'm by myself all the time, right? Is that when cars are coming towards me, I don't even look through the windshield now. I look down at their bumpers to look at their tires to see which way the car's, the direction of the car. When people are on either side of me, I don't look to my left to see the people. I look at their door. I try to have as little eye contact as possible with other people because there's so much road rage, and whatever has affected them that day and you give them the wrong look or try to give them the finger, they'll take it out on you.
Yeah, you don't know what that person's been through. You don't know what they have in their car. You don't know their situation.
You don't know anything.
Why even go down that? Why even go down that road?
I mean, look at how many people's kids have been getting shot lately because of stupid road rage incidents.
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, it is, and that's just but that's a form of bullying.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you just kind of have to hold your own, right? I mean, and I can choose to get mad because somebody took a parking space from me, or I can drive away.
Yeah, it is in all situations. I think what we should, we, me, you, everyone is just drive away, walk away if you can. But if you can't, you have to defend yourself. And
you have to be prepared to die because you don't know what the other person has with them.
Right.
You just don't know. And it ain't worth it. Let me tell you, honey, I've been living a long time and I plan on living a whole lot longer. Life is good. Life is beautiful. I mean, I've been driving this Uber thing, and Uber has, I didn't do it for a couple of years because I had the foot surgeries or whatever. And so I just started doing it back again. And that has allowed my Instagram to flourish because I come up with these, funny videos, right? And so it's allowed me to flourish. Who knew that it was going to do that for me? I mean, I was embarrassed to do Uber when I first started doing it because I'm an actor with this great IMDb.
Right.
I've done all these movies and television shows or whatever. And I was like, I don't want to do it, but I had to do it. I was compelled to do it because I'm a Detroit girl. So driving is in my blood, right? Driving is in my blood. So I started doing Uber. Next thing you know, one thing led to this, one thing led to that. And it's been great for me, right? But if I were a timid person, then I wouldn't like Uber because you've got to be aggressive when you drive. And I never, ever forget that the people in my car are the precious cargo. And when they get in the car, they feel confident with me. Nobody ever feels like I'm not a good driver because I get them from point A to B. That's what makes me a good driver.
Right. No doubt.
Right?
Yeah. Let's go back before though. Let's go back a little earlier to your childhood because I'm curious how you got started into acting and performing and all that, and what your parents' reaction was to that. Because I have here that you started acting when you were 9 years old. Is that correct?
Well, I did my first play when I was 7. But what happened, being a photogenic kid, the McLaughlins who lived across the street from us when I grew up, Mr. McLaughlin was a photographer. And my sister and I were just these cute little chocolate drops, just cute little chocolate drop kids, big smiles, long hair. So my mom and I started doing ads for Mr. McLaughlin.
Print ads.
Print ads. And that print ad led to my first commercial at the age of 10 for a hair product. And so it was after I started seeing billboards as a kid. I would walk down the street and there'd be these great big humongous billboards of me. And I'm like,
In Detroit. There were billboards of you.
Yeah. And like I'd be with my parents and people would be like, that's the girl on the billboard. And I'd turn around to see who they were talking about because my parents were so low key, like, yeah, this kid's not going to get a big head. Let me tell you, for the commercial, you know how much money I got? $7.
Oh, wow.
My parents gave me $7. I was like, oh my God, this is so much money.
Because there was more and they kept the rest.
Of course they kept the rest. But $7?
Yeah.
When you're that age?
Of course.
Oh my God, because back in the day, you used to could get candy 2 for 1.
You
two
could,
for a penny.
$7, back then, yeah, that could get you
That was a
far.
lot of money. I didn't want for crap when I was a kid. I had parents, I had brothers and sisters, I had a bike, I had candy, I had friends. What more could you ask for?
Right.
And $7, right? So that was how I really started. It was the commercial that kind of propelled me. And we used to take dance lessons and piano lessons. We had a great life. But my sister, Watna, the one who was murdered, Watna was the best dancer, the cutest girl, the best shape. And being in the class with my sister taking dance lessons, and she was such a good dancer. She could pick up the choreography really quickly. I deduced that I'm not quite as good as her. All right.
Yeah.
So I could never do well enough to be as good as her. So I kind of took a back seat to that. And because she was such an she had a great big beautiful personality. All the boys liked her. I hated her, but I loved her because she was the prettiest little thing, But when it dawned on me that boys didn't like me as much as they liked her, I knew that I was in her shadow and that I had to come out of her shadow and meet my own friends. And then when guys started liking me and I kind of developed my own crew, I was like, oh, okay, it's okay for my sister to be beautiful and all those things. I just have to find what I'm good at. And so I quickly took to acting, and I was such a good actor.
This was how you were, because you said you were 9 when you did the commercial.
I was about 10.
About 10.
And then I had done a play at the age of 7, but I was kind of a somnambulist through it. I mean, I really sleepwalked my way through it. I really didn't catch hold. And so
you didn't have your chops down at 7 years old yet.
I really didn't
You're
know
still
what I was doing.
developing some different acting techniques.
Right. So when I did The King and I was about 12. And once I did The King and I, and everybody says, oh, Ina's a really good actor. I was like, oh. And that was different from my sister. And I was like, oh, she's a good dancer. She's really pretty, but I am an actor.
Look at that.
Right? So I went to Catholic school the majority of my life, but my last years I was in a prep school. So Oh, actually, the 11th year out of Catholic school, in 11th grade, I went to a friend's school, and John Bolton was my acting teacher who led me to Interlochen Arts Academy, where I graduated from. And it was then that I knew that I was a really good actor. And so that led me to Interlochen, full scholarship to go there. And I lived in Detroit, and Interlochen is like 6 hours away up north, right below the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And I lived there for my last year.
And that's an acting school? What is
that?
It's
a prep school where it trains young musicians and actors for a life in...
And you were 16, 17, 18 when this happened?
16. Yeah.
16 and you got a scholarship.
Yeah.
So what did your parents think of that? They probably were happy that you got a scholarship. And
they were happy.
Did they know that you were serious about this acting or were becoming serious?
They knew that it was coming towards me. They knew that I didn't have to do much, that it was just coming my way. And so I go away to this prep school, which was so awesome. And I played cello as a minor. And from Interlochen, I was chosen to go to Cal Arts in Valencia. So I went to Cal Arts for my freshman year of college. And that's when I knew that I really wasn't a cellist, because
You met other cellists who were just...
I read some real cellists.
It's the sister dancing thing all over again. Oh no, people are better than me at something.
Yep. Well, and you know what? That's just kind of who I am. When you're a kid and you're honest with yourself, you got a lot of time to spend to yourself. You got to be real honest. When you know somebody's better than you at something and you're trying the same thing, leave it alone. Find another thing. Right? Find the thing that you're good at.
Or at least be realistic about your abilities and realize this may not be my career, but this could be a hobby.
There you go. So I'm up at Cal Arts, and I'm a good actor, and I got to perform with the San Francisco Mime Troupe. Are you familiar with them?
I'm not, but I saw that in your bio. It was mimes.
Yeah, no, it's not mimes. It was political theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed that it's not real mimes.
Yeah, no, no,
Okay.
It was political theater. And once I saw that professional companies wanted me to work with them, I was like, man, this is great, but I'm going to Hollywood.
Yeah, because you were in school and theaters and people who were putting on plays were kind of recruiting you, but you're like, I want to be on screen. Is that kind of...
Well, because I was in school in Valencia, which, as you know, it's only about 45 minutes from LA.
Not far.
And once I put two and two together that Valencia was a half hour or 45 minutes from Hollywood, I'm like, huh? Hollywood? The real Hollywood? Me? Moi? Okay, that's where I'm going. Fuck school.
So you didn't...
I quit.
You quit in the middle of...
At the end of the year, the end of the school year.
Freshman year.
Yeah, and my parents weren't happy about it.
Oh, no, I bet not.
No, but I moved down here with my sister, and I just decided to become an actor. And it just didn't kind of work out like that. So when I left here, I moved back to Detroit in 76. Right, because I'm much older.
You went from Cal Arts to LA,
Hollywood.
quit school, lived in Hollywood for a little while, did the acting, and then you went back to...
Then I went back to Detroit. And when I went back to Detroit, I started waitressing and doing commercials. I did a ton of commercials and the waitressing. And being a cute girl, you're always going to get some kind of opportunity. And so
doesn't hurt.
Well, no, it just doesn't hurt. And so I didn't have to do much. I just had to kind of show up and be that cute girl. And it was when I was back in Detroit that I met my future husband. I was dating a drug dealer.
Oh no! Well, I thought you learned about the bad boy thing.
Hey, the money is the money.
You had a slip. What do you call it? I don't know. A relapse.
Yeah, I had kind of a relapse.
In a sense.
But he had given me a 911 Targa. A little Porsche, which is a collector's item now.
Wow.
And we would go down to the Eastern Market to buy seafood. And at the place where we would get the seafood, they didn't sell drinks. So I would go next door. We would go next door to the liquor store to buy drinks. That's where I met my husband, my future husband.
So you were with some guy, and then that's where you met some other guy.
That's where I met my future husband, right? And so my future husband, Mark, says to me and the guy that I was dating at the time, Al, the bad boy, my future husband says to me, hey, what's shaking? And I was like, what's up, Doc? Right? So one day when my boyfriend wasn't with me, I decided to go to the fish store by myself and then go to the liquor store.
Did he work there? This guy worked there?
Yeah, my future husband worked at the liquor store. And that was that. That was a wrap. It was just like, that guy was just my guy. I was his girl. And so what I did, because I knew that guy was the guy for me. And so I told my father, I go, hey, Daddy, I need you to meet somebody. So I brought my daddy to the liquor store.
This is all in Detroit.
All in Detroit. And my daddy comes into the liquor store and he looks at Mark and he says to Mark in Italian, you're Joe Romeo's son. And you got an ugly aunt named Christine. And my husband goes, what? My father and Mark's father and Mark's father's sister, Christine, were in 8th grade together.
Wow. And he recognized this guy.
Yep. Italian.
Sometime later.
Yeah, Italian. And it was crazy. And so my dad says to me on the way home, he says, you're the only girl I know who could meet an Italian, and the Italian doesn't speak Italian.
How long did you wait until you introduced your dad to this guy? Was it like you met the guy the next day, or was it
No, it was about a month.
Okay.
It was about a month. And meanwhile, the bad boy drug dealer didn't know that I was dating that guy. And so I met Mark in November of 80, and Mark and I got married in April of 81.
Fast, yeah.
Yeah. So the boyfriend, who I hadn't told I was seeing, Mark, called the night before my wedding. And so the whole house is full of people just gathering and getting the wedding stuff together.
Did he still think you guys were together or something?
He kind of sort of did, because he was a drug dealer.
Yeah, so he was this like, on and off, whatever,
right,
he's busy.
Whatever.
Yeah, she's my girl. I think I follow what's
going on. He calls and he goes, what are you doing? And I go, kind of getting prepared for my wedding. He goes, oh, when are we getting married? I go, not us. I'm marrying somebody else tomorrow. He goes, what? And I'm standing there. My mother comes and takes the phone. She goes, yeah, Ina's getting married tomorrow. And it was like, she hung up the phone and the whole house cracked up.
Wow.
They were like, oh, that was so cruel, but it was great.
I'm guessing that your family and your parents were not fans of this other guy so much.
Nah.
But they knew of him, and
yeah.
Did they know what he was into? They could have guessed, but they...
Well, he gave me 2 cars. He gave me a 911 Targa and a Volkswagen. And so they kind of sort of didn't want me to have that stuff.
Right.
But, I wound up giving the Targa back. I kept the Volkswagen. And, my now husband doesn't want me to have the Volkswagen. So we sold the Volkswagen. And Mark and I stayed married for almost 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And we moved out to LA. We came out, and he started working and I started working. And
what brought you out to LA initially?
Well, when I met my husband, unlike the drug dealer, I said to him, I said, I think I want to go back to LA because I went to college here. And I think I want to go back. I think that I've done so well here in Detroit doing commercials and stuff. I think I want to go and do full throttle in LA. He goes, okay, I'm taking you. And I think that's why I married him, because he was all in with me.
Yeah.
He wanted me to be happy, and he knew that he could do well out here.
What did he do, or what does he do?
He was a semi-pro hockey player.
Oh, wow.
So he was a leader of men. He was very, very much a guy's guy,
Like me. Something like that. A little bit.
So he just was very, very charming, effusive, had a lot of leadership qualities, started doing telemarketing for the LA Times, very quickly rose in the ranks. And we were living in Whittier because his uncle had a house in Whittier. So we lived in Whittier, working there. And because my husband was climbing the ranks at the LA Times, he got promoted to the Valley. So we moved out to the San Fernando Valley, and then he kept climbing up the ladder, and then we bought a house in the Valley, and we stayed married all those years. And, my career just kind of flourished. And it really didn't seem like it. But when I look back, man, I did a lot of stuff for not having to do the old casting couch or whatever. But once I got divorced and being on my own, I felt like I had something to say. And it sounds so crazy now, but I remember telling people here in LA that I was Catholic, and they'd be like, oh my God, I never knew Black people were Catholics. I'm like, what'd you say? And it hit me that people really have myopic vision.
I noticed this a little bit.
I mean, like, who are people that they don't think that I'm a person that, like, here's the idea. Like, we're all originally of African man. Man came from Africa, Race is a man-made construct that was put together in the 1500s or some crap like that. Like light or white being the supreme and dark being less. That's a bunch of crap, right? So for people to only see what they've heard or to stereotype me and my life, it was just kind of, what? I couldn't believe this. So I felt like when I got into comedy that I had something to say, which is that, hey, I'm Catholic. You've never seen one before? And I mean, like, even now I have in my act, because I've been doing comedy, for a long time. And the joke that I still have, one of the first jokes I ever wrote, is that I'm the only Black woman I know who married a white guy with worse credit than her.
I recall you using that one. I see.
And it's kind of and it's so much the truth that people like if you wrote it on paper that one of us was Catholic and one of us grew up in an upper middle class life, you'd assume it was him.
Yeah.
No, he's the one that went to public school. He's the one whose family had no money. So that kind of was a shock to me that people thought that way. So that's
the assumptions people make.
Yeah. That's how my whole comedy career began, because I honestly felt I had something to say. But I had so much trepidation on stage about really revealing who I really was, that because of my ability to write easily topical material, the topical material got stolen. And I was crushed. This girl who I thought was a friend of mine, who I met as a comic, she put my stuff on The Tonight Show.
Wow.
I'm not going to mention her name, but she's...
I'm going to do research later and figure this out.
Whatever you do. I don't even want to mention her
Yeah.
name. But when she did that to me, it was like, wow. Not only was she from Detroit, I thought she was like my friend. And when I realized that it was a friendship of convenience for her to get this material, it really hurt my feelings deeply.
Stinks. Yeah.
It hurt but then is when I really started to see the underbelly of Hollywood, right? And then I started to really understand. And even then, even though I went into a shell kind of, that shell allowed me to think and rethink and think and rethink again, and to really get deep off into myself about who am I? And what do I want to say? Which are all of the things I've only started to say recently, because I had so many layers to pull back.
Sure, I gotcha. So you've been doing comedy for how long?
Off and on for 20 years.
Yeah.
And with the foot surgery that I had, I had one in 2017, then one in 2018. It kept me home. And it was the best thing I could have ever done, because I started writing and writing and writing and going deeper and going deeper. And now I feel like I'm in my zone. And I feel like life is short, but that time can be your friend. And I believe in God. I believe in the omnipotence of God. I don't know what the fuck he looks like. I mean, I don't really ascribe to be I was raised Catholic, but I believe God is the universe, that thing that kind of compels us, And so I feel that with me giving out positive energy, the universe giving me back what I'm giving it, I think if I ask the universe for something, I always get it. And so I think that where I took, my looks for granted younger, like now I appreciate the natural beauty that my parents gave me. But now I feel that as a woman who's gained some wisdom, that I really own myself now. I'm not just my husband's wife. I'm not just my boyfriend's girlfriend. I feel like I actually learned to love myself a lot. And comedy has been wonderful, because I could put the real me on paper and look at it and cry and go, oh, I fucking hate myself. And then work through all that pain to get me here, because it's excoriating. Comedy when you're really doing it right, it's excoriating.
Yeah, it's therapy.
Well, and I don't think it's therapy. No, but I do think that when you excoriate, meaning to really get into the deep layers of who you are, I think when you really, really see who you are, ugh, it's ugly. The real us is ugly.
Yeah, it can be.
It can be really ugly. And when you're honest about that, and then you're learning to live with that ugliness and then to turn that into something funny, oh man, that's the fucking art form. That's the fucking art form. That's where I see so many really, really, really successful comics who've become big movie stars always try to come back to the stage because we're trying to get to that core. We're trying to get to what it is that makes the Catholicism that thing that gives you the impetus to no longer believe in God. And that turns into a joke, right? So all those things, the yin and the yang, the good and the bad that is within you, that's what you're performing on stage. And when you are such a good comic, like I want to be a great comic, and people don't even know the essence of where you're coming from. They don't, your point of view you shouldn't have to tell anybody what your fucking point of view is.
They should get it. Is that?
It comes subtly.
Yeah, okay.
It should be a subtle thing. You don't want to leave the audience fucking crying. You don't want them pondering. You just want them fucking laughing.
Right.
And then if they go home and they deign to think about it, then wow, okay, that's a plus. But the real comedy comes from you finding out who and what you really are and eradicating that and deconstructing that and reconstructing that and being brilliant about who and what you are. That's the real comedy. That's the real comedy. The organic form of comedy. That's the purest form. That's such pure fucking self-hatred, but it's really self-love. And that's why I get on stage.
I guess it's hard to go for like, what are the things that you hate or the self-hating things, and it's hard to go there, I imagine. But that's where often the funniest things, I guess, can exist.
Yeah.
The most I would venture that the comics who maybe hold back on self-deprecating stuff or some of the self-hating stuff, those are probably the most self-hating people in actuality, because they're not addressing it. Maybe they are, but not in their act, at least.
Right. Because to get to self-love, you usually have been through self-hate. And whatever the self-hatred is, right? Maybe it's because I'm not as good a dancer as my sister, right? Maybe it's that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I was picked on, even though I became a bully. Whatever, right? It's all that stuff. It's not getting the attention from my mother that I would have liked. It's my other brothers and sisters going with my dad and I to stay home because I had chicken pox. It's all that little stuff that makes you you.
Yeah, it's not about letting that stuff go. It's about acknowledging it, and if you're a creative type, using it to...
Because that's your point of view.
Yeah.
That's how you think. That's the prism that you see things through. Because when you only see it from your point of view, that isn't good, because you live in the world. You've got to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes, right?
No doubt.
It's like I'm really good friends with my ex-husband. And I got there because of self-love, but I had a lot of self-hate because I went through a divorce. And so now I put myself in his shoes, and man, he's one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life, my ex-husband. I'm so proud of him. And he's in a wonderful, healthy, happy marriage.
No, that's good. I can tell you're 100% genuine with that, and for real. That's cool.
I love it. They just bought a beautiful new home. I'm going to their housewarming. I'm so happy for them that they love each other. And like the guy that I'm dating now is somebody who I dated before, and it probably isn't going to work because he doesn't give me the juju. Like I'm a girly girl and I like all the sweet talk and I like all that. And he's just not. He's a comic. And he's just like, hey, this is how it is. Okay, I'll talk to you later. And I'm missing all the calls. So it won't work, right? It won't work. And so I feel like I'll meet the right guy. I'm not looking, but I'll meet the right guy. I'm not even worried. I've never worried about having a man.
Yeah.
I've had a man since I was 13, right? So
That's how you meet someone, is by not worrying.
And I don't.
Who wants to meet a worrier?
Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. You know what I mean? I got 2 fat fucking cats. I swear to God, my big cat, my boy cat, he fucking thinks he's my boyfriend.
Oh yeah,
right?
Is that so?
Yeah, he's got these big dreamy eyes like Drake, you know?
Drake the cat.
Drake the cat. I come home at night and he gives me a look like, you could have called me on your cell phone.
I'm curious. Did your parents or family ever come out and see you do stand up? What did they think of your stand up? Were they mentioned in jokes? Were they part of your act at all so much?
You know,
were they
I
supportive?
talk about them. My father, when he knew I was doing comedy, goes, "No way, no way. There's no part of you that's funny."
Really? Wow.
My father was the ham. My father was the funny guy. I wanted to be like my dad. And when I tried it, he would send me his old Red Pryor or Red Fox jokes, right? My father loved Red Fox. And when the Richard Pryor album came out, the first one back in the day, I recited and I would listen to the album in secret. So one day, here I am in 8th grade, the Catholic school tour goes to the Henry Ford Museum. So for lunch, we had bag lunch. And so we were having lunch on the bus. I was killing on the bus, reciting the Richard Pryor jokes. It was standing room only in the bus. I had them. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the biggest laughter, I look at them and everybody's just silent. And their mouths are open and they're staring behind me. And I'm like, huh? And I turn around. Sister Mary Teresa was behind me, grabbed me by my fucking ear.
Wow.
Off the bus. I got expelled from school.
For how long?
I think it was just a couple of days, but I was scared of comedy after that. She fucking shamed me.
Yeah. What did your dad think of that?
My dad cracked up.
I had a feeling he was gonna.
My dad cracked up. My mother didn't know that I was this girl. You know, being a cute little prissy girl, like, you know, all feminine and do, and I'm fucking cussing like a sailor. She didn't know I knew those Richard Pryor jokes.
Do you remember what you said on that bus? What the bit was?
I don't remember the bit, but I had it verbatim. I had it verbatim. The whole bus, they were cracking up. It was the best feeling in the world.
Was that like the first time? Was that your first gig, so to speak? That
was my first gig.
Did you know in that moment that like this could be something that you didn't think of that? No one thinks of that.
No. And let me tell you what happened after that. So there was a boy in my class named Clyde Dick. That's his real name. And by the way, I'm still friends with my crew from first grade. All my friends from first grade, I'm still friends with.
Was it that you've always been friends with them, or you reconnected because of social media?
Pretty much, I've always been friends with them. Even the kids that I went to Interlochen Arts Academy with, I'm still friends with some of my crew from there. So I keep my friends. My friends love me because I'm fucking loyal as shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't tell their secrets. I might talk about my life, but I don't tell my friends' secrets. But Clyde Dick was in my class, and this was after the Richard Pryor thing, you know? So we used to do this, real drill fast math quizzes, right? Like teacher would ask the question. You had the answer. You stood up. You gave the answer. Rapid fire. Well, I was doing that, and everybody had sat down except me and Clyde Dick. And I looked around, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's the smartest math guy in class." And I'm standing up with Clyde Dick. He gave me the eye, and I gave him a look. And sister looked at me like, "Come on, you're gonna do it." And she asked me a question, and I knew it. And I choked.
Oh.
And I sat down, and Clyde Dick won. I fucking hate Clyde Dick to this day.
What the hell, man?
But I choked. I choked.
So this was like a competitive math.
Yeah, and I was so good at math. But I told myself after that I wasn't good at math. I told myself I wasn't good at math. And then I started failing math tests. And that's when sister knew something was wrong at home because my parents were rumbling about their divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really what the underlying thing was. And so it was very much a confidence shaker because it took me off my axis.
Did you even were you able to comprehend that at the time, or you were just thinking at the time you're just like, I don't care about math anymore, blah blah blah. But there was underlying issues going on that you were acting out about, or but you didn't
because
realize.
For me to have held the torch of being the smartest girl in school would have been an easy breezy peasy thing,
right?
But I was so nervous about what was going on at home that I couldn't take that burden, kind of, sort of. And it's very interesting because nobody asked me what my core was. Nobody was like, hey, what's underlying this? Why are you failing in school? Whatever. They were going through their shit.
Yeah, everyone's got their own lives to deal with.
My parents had their own lives. And it was then that when my parents did divorce, right, that my mother took a job for the first time out of the house because we sold the big house we lived in.
This is how old you were? How old?
I was about 14 going on 15.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And that's when it all changed. And that's when I really knew that I was on my own, even though my dad was still in my life, of course, but my mother had to take a job. That was the first time in my life where I would come home and my mother or my grandmother wasn't there. And it was like, oh man, you're on your own now.
Yeah.
So I had to really, really, really make good choices for myself. Because at this point, my sister was a fast ass, right? My sister was out and about. I mean, she was on the nut, she was on the wild.
She was a troublemaker.
She was being a troublemaker. And I was trying my best to stay good and to stay focused. But we were in a new neighborhood and oh my God, it was like, what the hell? I lost all of what I had. And so now I can look on it and see how much it affected me. But at the time when you're going through it, you're not talking to anybody about it. You don't, back in the day, nobody was like, so could you explain your feelings?
Yeah.
No,
feelings, what are those?
What are those? You're a kid.
That's all we care about today now.
Right? Yeah.
Now it's all about feelings.
Right. But it's because I've had the time on my own to sit up and think about myself and who I am and what I've gone through. And so I know why I made good choices in life. I know why I'm still alive. I know why I'm happy because I chose this. And I chose it inexorably. And I chose it at an early age. And I definitely credit my Catholicism for showing me morality and showing me good and bad, right and wrong. And then steadfast, just holding on to that. Because your parents aren't always going to be with you. Your brothers and sisters aren't always going to be with you. I mean, you can go to the left or you can go to the right. And the way that I've gone has led me here. I mean, I'm happy.
Did the rest of your siblings take to Catholicism? Your sister aside, it sounds like she didn't, your one sister aside, but did other siblings take to Catholicism the way you did, or at least the philosophy behind it and the attitude behind, the life attitude?
No.
No, only you did.
But
they were all exposed to it.
Yeah, we all went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
But I think out of 7, my oldest sister and I are the ones that chose kind of, to be quote unquote straight. The oldest and the youngest. Yeah, the oldest and the youngest. My one brother didn't have a choice. He's schizophrenic. So he's been in and out of institutions. But my other brothers and sisters, oh no, they chose a life of crime and drugs and, irresponsibility and
yeah. I wonder if it turned out that way in part because the oldest sibling is probably like, I have a responsibility to everyone else in the family to set the example. And you, as the youngest one, learn from everyone what not to do.
Right.
I wonder if there's some truth in that.
Yeah. Well, I definitely learned what not to do. Because even though I came home with poor grades, they were still better than what my other brothers and sisters were doing. My other brothers and sisters were fucking up so bad. If I came home with D's, I'd get a bowl of ice cream.
Hooray for low standards.
Hooray for low standards. And so it just really was a matter of making a choice.
Yeah.
And I had a coterie of friends who were very smart chicks. All my chick friends from first grade and even my senior class. Oh my God, they're doctors, they're lawyers. They're fucking so great professionally. They're 6-figure chicks. They married hellified men. I mean, all my whole crew is just so successful. I'm like the, fucking I'm the piece of shit of the crew.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
I'm the piece of shit of the crew.
You're talking about your friends from back in Detroit.
Yeah, I'm still friends with them. I have some here.
Yeah, I bet many of them are jealous, though, of the fact that you're out here in sunny Southern California.
Yeah, they fucking still give me money if I need it.
There you go.
I swear to God, my friend Sandy. Oh my God, if it weren't for Sandy, I couldn't have paid my rent 6 months ago.
Damn, there you go.
But I know who I am, and they know who I am, and my friends love me, and I so love my fucking friends. You know, I mean,
you said, you're loyal.
I am, and even though I've needed little things from them, let me tell you, I have a friend Angie who's in Detroit. Angie and I were on the cheer team together in Catholic school. Let me tell you about this motherfucking chick. She became a Detroit policewoman. She was a beat cop, and then she rose through the ranks. Let me tell you what a fucking tough chick she is. So here's what's so great about my buddy Angie. She was the skinniest girl on the cheer team, right? Meek, but a great girl. This girl who married a sergeant or somebody big in the police department, Angie never once pulled her gun on anyone in the city of Detroit. She never shot
that sounds
one
like a
person.
miracle.
Well, when you think about it, she's that good at being a diplomat,
right, with
the worst kind of fucking people in the world, that she can get them on her side. She gets them to listen to her. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. I'm the chick that's all into the media, but I remember telling Angie about a month ago, I'm like, fucking Angie, you could do a TED Talk. You could fucking be the shit on TV just to go around the country and to show people how to be a better cop. I mean, how incredible is that?
I think that's a lot of the issues with law enforcement, police brutality. All this is just bad training.
No.
Not only that, but
no. The reason Angie's a good cop is because she listens to who she's talking to. She treats them with respect. You see?
Yeah.
That's why Angie's my friend. I mean, I could go on and on. My best buddy, June, who's out here. June's the head of the VA. Occupational therapy. I mean, do you realize the positions that my friends are in? But it's so much the quality of who my friends are from Detroit. And Sandy, who went to Interlochen with me, Sandy was a harpist for years. And she decided that she's tired of lugging around the great big harp or whatever. But my whole fucking crew is awesome. And so when they were all at my wedding and, I married this great guy, whatever, how dare I date a guy who I don't even want to introduce to my fucking friends, because that's how awesome my friends are. So the next guy that I marry, he's got to fucking have it together. Even if he's a janitor, I don't care. He's just got to be a quality guy.
Right.
He's just got to be a quality guy. And it isn't that I'm marrying a guy or I want to be with a guy just to show my friends. I've got to be confident that he's good enough for me, because my friends are good enough for me. I'm good enough for my friends. We earned that. That's the beauty of it. We earned that. They're so fucking proud of me for what I'm doing, right? That's who's proud of me. My mother, my father, Daddy never thought I'd be a comic, so he'd be fucking shitting bricks that I'm making people laugh. My mom, it didn't matter to her that I was an actor or any of those things. That I just was not her favorite kid. So you learn that when you grow up. I'm not going to be mad at my mother because I'm not the fucking favorite. She still loved me. Just because she didn't love me the way that she loved my sister doesn't mean she didn't love me.
She loved you in a different way, perhaps.
She loved me in a different way, right? She didn't even want another kid. She's got fucking 6. She doesn't need a 7th. Right? So I'm lucky that she let me come through.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm glad she did.
Me too. I mean, everything's great. What can I say? I can't even complain about life.
Did she ever see you perform stand-up? Your mom? Did I ask you that? I forget if I asked you that.
No, my mother has never seen me do stand-up. She's seen me do everything. I was up for an Emmy consideration for a television show that I had done. I've done a lot of, big roles in film and TV, but none of that mattered. I think what mattered to my mother the most about me is that she allowed me to be independent. It's the independence. It's why, like, I like Uber because I'm driving on my own. I'm turning that into a TV show.
Yeah, why don't you tell me more about the Uber and tell me more about everything you're working on these days? Tell everyone about the Uber.
Well, I was on the road with a comic. I was
where
featuring.
It started from.
Yeah, I was featuring for a comic, and Mark Yeffy, a terrific comic, and he was headlining, and I was featuring for him for like 2 years on the road. And so I was able to do it because you don't get a lot of money as a feature, but I had big commercials running. And so the big commercial money was fueling me being on the road. So when the commercial money ended and I came back to LA, I was like, man, what am I going to do? But by going on the road with Mark and having to drive myself up to all these different places, it gave me the ability to sit in the car for a long time. So I knew a guy who I'd been working for who mentioned Uber, and somebody else told me to do it. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. Oh my God, the first day in Uber, I fell in love with it.
Really?
I just fell in love with it because I could be myself, make a little money. So my second day of driving Uber, I met a lady and she goes, oh my God, you're funny. And I go, yeah. She goes, no, you're funny. I go, yeah. She goes, you should meet my husband. He's a producer. So I met her husband, who's a producer, who is the producer of my Uber show. He brought in another producer, and that's how we created a television show about Uber. And we looked to sell it, and it didn't get sold. So again, I had those 2 subsequent foot surgeries, and now I'm just back in Uber because my foot has healed, and now it's taking on a life of its own again. And so the people that are finding me through the Uber, meeting influencers who've allowed my videos to be seen by hundreds of thousands of people. It's crazy.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of them. So do you do similar things with all your passengers, where you basically what I saw is that you improvise and you do these freestyle raps about the people you meet.
Right.
Is that what you do with every single person who comes in the car?
I don't do it with every single person because the beauty of Uber is that you meet the owners of the business, the executives, the people with really good jobs, really good careers. And some of them just want to get from point A to B, and some just don't talk. Right. And so you allow them to do that. But then there are others.
The social ones.
Yes. And they have the right to do that because I'm giving them,
of course,
they're paying for a service. So I want to give them a good service. And so out of the thousands of rides that I've given, I only ever had one bad guy. But when the ones are having fun, and then I say, hey, can we do a video? They're like, a video? Oh, you mean like now? I'm like, yeah, we're going to put it on Instagram. They're like, oh, okay. And that's where that comes from.
Yeah, I bet you can sense the second someone or 2 people, whatever it is, step into that car, whether this is going to be a video person or it's not.
Yeah, yeah. And they're always so tickle pink that as much as I talk, that I've listened to them enough to garner and to make a rap about them. And they're like, oh man, I said that about myself. I'm like,
yeah, they don't even remember. Yeah, I watched one of them and then you're like referencing, yo, I'm from New Jersey, blah, 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 whatever it is. And she's like, oh shit. Like you can see that they're, surprised in a good way. It's like a good surprise. This lady actually listened to me. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch more. I'll probably binge watch the rest later.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Cause it's just so much fun. And that was another thing that I learned from stand-up comedy was that I could write. And even though I did well in school, I was always very creative. I would do commercials and I would they hire me for a commercial. Like I'm the Got Milk lady, that kind of stuff. And I'd read the copy and I would rewrite the copy, but I couldn't tell them that I'd rewritten the copy. I'm like, oh man, if I was really going to I would do it like this. So often when I'm watching commercials, even now, I'll rewrite the commercial. So when I'm in the Uber, I'm writing what I see and I just happen to be saying it to a rhyme.
Right.
But it's that whole scenario under a minute that propels me to rewrite commercials, right? So I like it because I get to be the boss, I get to write it, I get to perform it, and the people can either come along with me or just enjoy it for themselves. And that's what I like about it. And I like it because it's kind of like how it's almost like I think I probably would have been a better comic faster if I didn't have such ADD. Like I got ADD, DDT, TMZ. What the fuck? I don't know.
All the letters.
Right. All the letters. But my fucking brain is going so fast all the time. I write new jokes all the time. And I'm like, Ina, why can't you stop? I fucking can't stop. But in the car, it's like for those few seconds that I get to say some shit off the top of my head about the people that I'm with, I love it. I love it.
Do you? So you don't physically write or make any notes. You just talk to them for a few minutes, and then a moment later, you're just like, "Can I? You guys want to make a video with me? Let's do it."
Yep. And whatever beat, that I find, I'll think of a beat, and then I'll just, put the words to that beat, and then there's the video.
Awesome. I want to be a passenger.
Okay.
Soon, maybe. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, well, I don't know how that works. You got to because it's going to send whatever driver's closest. You got to drive right up to wherever I am, and then I request it.
Or we can just come up with a scenario.
Yeah,
I'll just come pick you up.
Yeah, we'll fake it.
Yeah, we'll fake it.
It doesn't have to be an official Uber ride.
No, it doesn't have to be official. Not for you and I.
No.
We don't have to stage it. We'll stage it kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be an official Uber ride.
Cool.
And I'll be happy to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do something. We could do a double promotion or something. I got the hamsters in the wheel turning.
Yeah. And,
for sure.
It's been cool talking to you. You let me talk about all my life and all this stuff.
I've loved listening to you and hearing all these stories and I'm relating to a lot of them and finding a lot of insight in all of them, and even just repeating themes from other guests and things other people have talked about just seem to be coming up over and over again. And it's
like what?
The idea of just being your true self and being honest as a comedian, as an artist, and just all these things. I'll listen back and let you know for sure.
Yeah,
but I can feel like a lot of the positive energy coming from a lot of these creative people that I'm talking to.
Yeah, we want the truth.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all in search for.
Yeah, we are.
So you got the Uber, you're working on the stand-up, any acting things any acting?
Nah, I don't even want to act anymore.
Really?
I don't even want to act anymore. I feel like I've done that, been there, done that kind of. And I'm sure that the Ubering and the Instagram is going to lead to something really great. I'd love to host my own show. I'm sure I will. It's just a matter of the right person seeing it and giving me an opportunity, or me making more opportunity for myself as I go along. And it's all here. That's why I love God so much, God being the universe, that what you ask for, you'll get.
Yeah.
I mean, and I will. And so
I think you're also, not to cut you off, but I think because you're putting a lot out there into the universe as well. You're working hard and you're writing and you're driving and you're making these videos. So you're asking the universe for things, but you're not doing nothing on your end. You're doing your part, I think. So the universe, should buck up or whatever, pay up also,
Yeah.
do its part.
Yeah.
We all hope that.
Yeah. And it's happening now. And it's happening as we speak, because I met you at a comedy show.
Right.
So I didn't know you from Adam. You invited me to do this, but you liked my comedy.
Right.
And
no
that's
doubt.
where it comes from. You get what I'm saying? And you don't even know who likes you. Because when you're doing comedy, you're trying to get the crowd to laugh. You're not doing comedy for one person. You're trying to get the crowd to laugh. So if somebody is moved enough to want to take the time to get to know me and invite me on a cool podcast, hey, that's great.
Yeah, and I don't ask everyone to do this. I don't love every comic, but when I see certain people perform, I just get a sense where I know I would like to talk to this person more.
Well, I'm honored that you had me here.
I appreciate it. Why don't you tell everyone one more time where they could find your Instagram, your show, follow you, plug anything you want.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm at Flappers on the 16th of May. So you guys should come to that. And follow me, Ina Romeo, on Instagram. Thank you.
Just like it's
INA Romeo, ROMEO, on Instagram.
You got it, at Ina Romeo. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're gonna go do that Uber ride soon.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely come out and check out more comedy and the Uber show and everything, and great stuff ahead, I'm sure, coming from you.
Thank you.
Cheers. So there you have it. My interview with Ina Romeo. I believe in God. I believe in the omnipotence of God, but I don't know what the fuck he looks like. I don't know about you guys, but I love that. I think I just love people who have a deep sense of faith, but also a super foul mouth. But yeah, really, again, I thank Ina for her time and willingness to participate. It was just a great time talking to her. I mean, I'm pretty inspired by her. Anyway, the fact that Ina has a fat cat who looks like Drake and thinks is her boyfriend, that's also pretty cool. But yeah, I did all my plugging stuff earlier, so I'll leave you guys pretty much alone with that for now. Just go to peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's all I'll say about that. And just have a lovely rest of your day, and let's hang again soon. Peace.